Hello everybody! Today I'm going to be doing my May and June wrap-up. I ended up not doing a May wrap-up at the end of May, so I decided just to smack it on to my June wrap-up. So that's what we're going to be doing today, my May wrap-up and my June wrap-up. So let's start with the books that I read in the month of May. The first book I read in the month of May was a reread for me, and that was City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I decided that I really wanted to reread City of Bones before I started on my journey of finishing the Mortal Instruments series because I wanted the full experience. Unfortunately, I'll have to be honest and say that I struggled getting through this book during my reread. But I really wanted to reread it because I knew that there were so many things that I had forgotten because I had read this book back in July. I think one of my main complaints about this book is that there are so many information dumps and it just kind of makes the book drag on a little bit and it can be kind of a snorefest. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. It's a lot of fun. I don't think it's anything to be taken too seriously, but it's just a really fun series. And then I read, can you guess, City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare, which is the second book in the Mortal Instruments series. And let me tell you, I'm really frustrated with myself for taking so long to continue on with the series because it gets so much better just in the second book. The world just feels so much more fleshed out within this story, and also you get to see so many different perspectives. I feel like in City of Bones you really only got Clary's perspective, but in City of Ashes you get Jace, Isabel, Simon, Alec, Magnus, all these different people, and it just makes this book so much better. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy this series so much, is because the characters are just so fantastic and so interesting and unique, and they just really make the story entertaining. Can you guess what I read after City of Ashes? Can you guess? I read City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. This is probably my favorite in the entire series. It is just so epic, so fantastic. Even though I think that the story is a little bit slow at the beginning and not much happens at the beginning, it gets so interesting as you continue on, and at one point you just get to this point where you just can't stop flipping the freaking pages because you just want to know what happens. It's one of those books. It's a page-turner book. It is a frickin' page-turner book. That's for show. The ending was crazy, amazing, and I really enjoyed the way that the story tied together. Now, I did do full reviews and discussions on all three of these books, so if you'd like to know more of my thoughts, then I will leave links down below to those videos, so you can definitely go check them out. Do it. Check it out. Yeah, so much fun. I just realized I sniffed Jace's chest. Things just got real uncomfortable. After I read the first three books in the Mortal Instruments series, I moved along to the fourth book, City of Fallen Angels, again by Cassandra Clare, obviously. And I think that this might be my second least favorite in the series. City of Bones is definitely my first least favorite. This is my second. I just didn't enjoy this as much as I've enjoyed the other ones. But for the most part, I still really enjoyed it, and I really liked the fact that I got more Isabel and Simon because they're my favorite, and it was so good to read about them in this book because you just get so much more of them, and that really made me happy. So after I read City of Fallen Angels, my plan was to continue on with City of Lost Souls and then to complete the series with City of Heavenly Fire, obviously. But I got into the middle of City of Lost Souls and then I had a conversation with Christine and Kat, and they told me basically that I needed to read the Infernal Devices series, or the trilogy would be spoiled for me in City of Heavenly Fire, or I just wouldn't understand certain things that happen in City of Heavenly Fire. So I'm taking a break from the series, hoping to read the Infernal Devices soon, but who knows when that will happen. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I am reading the Infernal Devices, and so many of you guys are like going crazy because I haven't read the Infernal Devices yet. I will get to it soon, hopefully. And the last book I read in the month of May was Attachments by Rainbow Rowell as a part of the Booksplosion Book of the Month for May. This book is about a guy who works in a newsroom and he monitors emails. And as he begins to monitor emails, he begins to read this conversation happening between these two girls. And he grows attached to their emails. He finds them entertaining and he can't find it in himself to report them, so he just keeps reading them. And I know it kind of sounds like a weird book, but it's so good, guys. There is a little bit of a romance in here, but this story is not all about the romance. It's also about growth, because the main character is just out of college, he's just gotten this job as the email monitor, and he doesn't really know what he's doing with his life. Yes, he just got this awesome job, but he doesn't see it as his permanent job. He wants to do other things. He just doesn't really know what exactly, and he's kind of lost in life. He's still living with his mom, and he doesn't necessarily want to live with his mom anymore, so he's just trying to figure out all these different things, and I really connected with the main character because I feel like I'm at this place in my life where I just don't know where I'm going, and I felt like he was on that same journey, so it was really nice to read from a character that was experiencing something that I myself am experiencing. So those were all the books that I read in the month of May. Now let's move on to the books that I read in the month of June. The first book I read was In the Shadows by Kiersten White and Jim DeBartolo. Bartolo, I think that's how you pronounce it. Who knows? I really wanted to like this book, but I just didn't like it at all. It's really interesting though. There's a written story and then there's a picture story, and the picture story just continues on the story. Kind of like The Invention of Hugo Cabret, if any of you guys have read that book. This is formatted in a very similar way. But for me, the written story was super confusing. Parts of it just didn't make any sense. The characters were very dry and boring, and I just didn't get attached to any of them, but the pictures were so beautiful, and I think that the story would have been so great if it was just a graphic novel. But unfortunately it wasn't, and I didn't end up liking it. But that's okay, I'm so glad that I own this book because it's freaking beautiful. The illustrations are amazing, so I'm still glad that I own this because it is beautiful, but I just didn't like it, unfortunately. And then I read We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, which was a part of the Deny the Lie read-along, which was sponsored by Random House, and I'm not going to tell you anything about this story. I think it is very important to go into the story without knowing anything about it. Also, there's a lot of hype surrounding this book. So go into this book without any expectations. Forget the hype, forget all the buzz, and just read it for what it is. I feel like you won't enjoy it if you go into this book with really high expectations. I feel like your expectations will not be met. So just go into this book without any expectations, forget all the hype, forget all the buzz, and just read it. Just read it. The only thing that I'm really gonna say is that I just loved the way this book was written. The story has so many striking metaphors, and it almost feels like you're in a dream when you're reading this book, and I really enjoyed that aspect of the story. And then I read Lemony Snicket's When Did You See Her Last, which is the second book in the All the Wrong Questions series. Obviously I can't tell you much about the story because it is a sequel, but I will say that I really enjoyed it. I'm just really enjoying this series overall. It is a middle grade series, but it's just so much fun. The characters are weird and quirky, some of them are a little bit annoying, but for the most part the story is just super enjoyable. And the next book I read was, whoa, The Pigman by Paul Zindel. Unfortunately, I did not like this book. This story is about these two kids who play a prank on this old man, and after they play the prank on him, they end up becoming really good friends with him. And as the story progresses, you kind of see that the old man has something wrong with him. You can't really tell exactly what it is, but he definitely has some issues. I think one of the main reasons that I didn't like this book is because I didn't like the two main characters. The main characters just really felt like brats, and they felt like they didn't care about anything or anyone but themselves. I also just didn't really like the ending of this book. I felt like it was really rushed and everything just happened way too quickly, and I didn't feel like it was fleshed out very well. And the last book I read this month was Lemony Snicket's File Under 13 Suspicious Incidents. Whew. This is a companion to the All the Wrong Questions series, and I would suggest going into this book having read at least the first book in the All the Wrong Questions series, and not because this companion spoils anything within the series, but I think it's just nice going into this book having an understanding for the characters and kind of knowing what the series is about. But this book is a lot of fun. Basically, you're given 13 mysteries, and it's up to you to be the detective and to figure out these mysteries. And at the end of the book, the mysteries are actually solved, so you can see if you got the mystery right, if you solved everything correctly or whatever. So it's just a lot of fun, and I just love everything that Lemony Snicket does. He is king. So those are all the books that I read in the months of May and June. You guys should let me know down below what your favorite book was of this month, and I will see you guys soon with a new video. Thanks for watching. Later! I ended up not doing a May wrap-up, I just had a little accent slip there. The world just feels so much more fleshed out in this story, and you just kind of... He just didn't care, and it's just... Why you don't care?